Welcome to Revelation, day 3 of Beloved. Why survival can't heal, but spiritual law can. So, day 1, we talked about survival and belonging, just to do a quick recap so you can see how everything connects. Survival was never failure. Remember, it was devotion, it was belonging. Your body learned to protect you from disconnection. We honor the nervous system as sacred, learning that safety can exist without control. So, day 1 was about the remembrance that your body is sacred and it has always been doing its best to keep you alive. Now, day 2 was reflection, and we discussed the mirrors of love. We saw that relationships mirror what our bodies learned was love. We practice holding those reflections without shame. And we discovered that love is meant to nourish, not deplete. Day 2 was the remembrance that love is not earned, it is embodied. Now, see, day 3. Here's what you can expect this evening. You will learn what divine law truly is and how it differs from survival's rules, how your nervous system reflects these laws through your breath, your boundaries, and your beliefs. You'll learn why self respect isn't just a trait, but a spiritual law that aligns with peace, and how to begin living these laws in relationships, choices, and rest. This space is a sanctuary, and together we will rebuild trust in ourselves, in one another, and in love's order. So take one breath in through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Let's begin. As always, we create space with an invocation. And if you feel comfortable, place your hand to your heart so that you can now settle into presence. Beloved presence, we open this space in remembrance of what cannot be broken. The law of love that holds all things together in perfect order, even when the world feels out of rhythm. We open this space not to perform peace, but to remember peace, not to chase understanding, but to surrender to the divine intelligence moving through us. As we gather tonight, we acknowledge the parts of us that learn to survive, the planners, the pleasers, and the protectors. And we honor them for keeping us alive. But now we invite them to rest. We invite the body to remember safety beyond vigilance. We invite the mind to release control and to return to trust. We invite the heart to open again to the rhythm of God's love. May the breath be our bridge between fear and faith. May every inhale remind us, I am held. And may every exhale whisper, I can let go. We open this field in coherence, the place where divine law meets our lived experience, where structure becomes freedom and surrender becomes strength. May what, may what was once survival now become sanctified. May what was once chaos now become clarity. And may love, eternal, unchanging, unearned, remember itself through each and every one of us tonight. And so it is. Amen. Ashe. And so it shall continue. Because this space is sacred, we begin with gratitude. And if you like, you can just put one simple thing that you're grateful for in the chat. Because as we begin to dive in deeper into spiritual law, I know because I certainly am a recovering superwoman that many of you can intellectually grasp survival and recognize that it's outdated, but you might not yet feel safe enough to release it. I know because so much of who we think we are and so much of our power that we believe we have and our strength, we have relied on our own strength. Yes, we might say we believe in God and pray to God, but in many cases, in many ways, and many times, we have believed, we have felt, we have thought that we were completely alone, but that was survival. And so your body could still believe that chaos equals control. So before we begin defining divine law, I want us to thank the parts, or I invite you to, let me soften my language. I invite you to thank the survival parts of you for keeping you alive. There is nothing shameful or embarrassing. There is no need to disown any part of you because you survived. And those parts of you have followed the only laws that it knew. Those parts of you have protected you at all cost. And so now we can teach these parts a truer law that love protects without punishment. Let's get into it. The truth normally needs no introduction, but before we define anything tonight, I want you to notice your breath. Notice what happens without your permission. Inhale, exhale, balance. That is order. That is rhythm. That's law. There's a divine intelligence guiding that rhythm, whether you name it or not. So as you breathe, just notice and let your body experience that order first so we can name it, so you can feel it, so that you can begin to be in relationship with divine law and not just use spirit or God or the universe as a vending machine. Tell me in the chat, what do you think divine law is? What are some things that you've heard? What are some of your ideas? What is divine law? Any idea? I love the gratitude list. That's exactly what it's about. Thank you. I see it in the chat. See, when I say divine law, I don't mean man's law, the one that punishes or restricts. I mean the law that governs life in the way gravity governs the earth. It is not earned, it is inherent. Divine law is the original order of love. It's the rhythm that keeps creation coherent. It is not outside you. It is not written in a book of punishments or commandments. It's written in your design. So here's the truth. Let's look at what happens when we live by survival's law. And by now, if you've been in class or watched the replays, you can recognize that trauma can create our identity, our perception of reality. If we're operating from trauma, we're manifesting a life that is rooted in survival. Put yes in the chat if this makes sense to you. because this is where you will begin to see the difference between fear's rules, because that's what happens when we're operating out of trauma and trauma responses, and survival. It is fear, it is the opposite of love. And so, if we're living by the rules of fear, then let's see what it looks like when we live by love's order. Divine law is the natural order of love. It's not a set of rules. It is the rhythm of truth in your body, in your mind, in your spirit that you were created to live by. But see, when trauma, colonization, patriarchy, misogyny, you know it, all of that, all of those traumatic experiences can distort our understanding of love. And so we learn to fear order, control, and safety and obedience as worth. So fear became the false idol. Put idol in the chat if this makes sense to you. Because we've been conditioned to believe that fear is order, that fear is control, that fear is safety, and that your obedience to systems of control, your obedience to fear and distortions, that will keep you safe. But divine law restores the original pattern, that love is the governing intelligence, love as the governing intelligence of life. So here is the undistorted remembrance. You were never separate from love. You only learned separation. And when we think about trauma, trauma is a deep emotional wound. And because of trauma, we become fragmented and we can experience an internal separation of love. Not true, but experience because of who we had to become as a result of the trauma. And I'm here to remind you that your worth is not earned. Your worth is the structure of your being. And self respect is how divine law expresses itself through you. Put some respect on your name. Put respect in the chat if you understand. See, divine law is the truth. Divine law is the truth that everything God made, including you, is wired for love and order. Survival taught you to fight for it, but divine law teaches you to flow with it. So when you live in alignment with that truth, peace replaces performance and boundaries become worship, not war. So instead of spiritual law as an abstract term, you might feel resonance with love feels like gravity. You can't fall out of it. You can only forget it because gravity's still going to do what gravity does, whether you realize it, whether you accept it, whether you believe in it, whether you can name it or not. So when you align with divine law, life stops feeling like a punishment and it starts feeling like a partnership. And this is the real truth why we might struggle with manifestation, because we believe that we can ask for whatever we want, and you can, but you receive who you are, not what you visualize. And self respect is how love keeps its promises through you. See, this is the divine design, and divine law is your divine design. So let's breathe that in. Let's take in a moment to silently thank the body because your body learned the laws of fear because it thought it was love. We think that when we're overgiving or saving or helping or fixing or doing that, that is love. Do we not? Isn't that why we do it? because we learned self abandonment, self betrayal, self sacrifice is love. But that is not true. That's fear. So tonight, we teach our bodies a new language, the language of divine law. So let's take in a few deep breaths to ground ourselves in the nervous system to take in all of this truth. And as you breathe, we're going to breathe in through the nose, hold it for 2, and exhale through the mouth. And as you do, just breathe in order and breathe out control. Because control, that is the law of survival. Okay, let's take in 3 deep breaths. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just breathe in naturally, and you might even feel comfortable enough to let out that sigh to signal your nervous system that you're safe, that you're here, you're present, it's all good. And I want to remind you, especially as many of you are superwomen or have been at one time or another, that you're not here to add more rules. You're here to return to rhythm, the divine rhythm of love that was always in you. And as I created this class, I couldn't help but think that because of what so many of us were taught, when I say law, what do you think? What is your experience or definition of thought when I say law? Do you have any ideas? I welcome you to put that in the chat. Exactly, Sunny. Because our mind might go to law as a concept, and we might think of rules or control or religion, but law in its truth means the spiritual architecture of love, like gravity or breath. It is not earned, it is inherent. Oneness. See, we might think of it as losing yourself, but oneness doesn't erase individuality. And I'll talk about that in just a moment because it heals disconnection so you belong to yourself and God simultaneously. And I mentioned self respect as divine. See, we might hear that because of survival, because of conditioning, as pride or independence, but self respect is truly reverence, not rebellion. It is how the divine reorganizes itself within you. And we'll explain more about that tomorrow on day 4. And of course, why survival can't heal you. Because at the root of survival, we ask the question or we have beliefs that we are somehow broken or defective or unworthy or unlovable. And the truth is, survival kept you alive, but it cannot create peace. Because if we're just trying to manage symptoms of trauma, we're managing life, not flowing with life. And of course, you're not broken. We're simply being upgraded from fear to love. See, the root energy of survival law operates from fear and control. Divine law operates from love and unity. One braces, the other breathes. The goals. The goal of survival law seeks safety through domination or perfection. We've seen it in our own lives. whether it's perfection that shows up as perfectly hidden depression, which means we're performing and anxious and doing, and we don't let ourselves rest, and we don't really take time to acknowledge our wins or our losses. We don't grieve. That's survival law. If I do enough, I'll be enough. But divine law seeks peace through remembrance because I am enough. Put I am in the chat. Because I am enough. That's everything. And the core belief of survival says I must protect myself, especially for us, the least protected and most disrespected. But divine law says I am protected by what I am. Do you feel the difference? How does that feel in your body to know that because I am enough? I am protected by what I am. How does that feel in the body? Does it give you a sense of peace or safety? See, I don't have to tell you what's truth because your body does that every day, always, which is why if we're operating out of trauma and survival, we disconnect and shut ourselves off from the wisdom of our body because that's where the trauma is stored. But if you take a moment and just breathe in to, I am protected by what I am, breathe that in, feel the difference. One makes you your own savior, and the other reminds you that you were never alone. Identity. So, under survival, you become the defended self, armored, efficient, over functioning, hyper independent, can't never rest. Under divine law, you live as the divine self, whole, connected, at peace, not perfect, still wholly human, but connected and at peace. So let's talk about relationship to power. Survival uses power over. Oh, we see it in our lives. We're seeing it right now, playing out on our televisions, on our phones, in government. But divine law, it lives in power through. So in flow, in trust, in co-creation. That's where true power lies. We've tried it the other way. We've tried trying to manage life and force life. And there is some times where we have changed reality. But what we have actually done is changed our relationship with the truth because the only way we can really temporarily change reality is through denial. Oh, I know, because I used to visit the land of denial and operating out of trauma. No, I'm fine. Everything's good. They didn't mean it like that. Oh, no, they're a good person. Oh, I'm giving them a benefit of the doubt again. But divine law, you're in relationship with trust and flow, and it moves differently. See, survival, when we're in survival, we react. And we know how that feels because typically we've perceived or imagined or felt some form of fear. But divine law responds. One is frantic, the other is faithful. Put faith in the chat if this resonates. If you can feel the difference between the energy when I talk about survival and how it lands in your body and how your body might contract or feel tense. That's the energy showing itself. It's not bad, it's not wrong, it's just outdated. And the frequency, survival vibrates with vigilance. So that means we always on guard. We stay ready because we ain't got to get ready. We always looking out because we don't know when the other shoe to drop. We always got to pay attention. We always looking, is everything okay? Is everything wrong? Is everybody all right? Anybody need anything? But see, divine law, it hums with reverence. So we can be in the flow with what is. And you can feel the shift because vigilance scans for danger. Reverence sees the sacred. Let that land in the body. Breathe that in because you are sacred and you don't have to earn it. There's nothing you have to do. You don't have to get permission. Nobody has to sign off or validate. It is because you are. And here's the deeper truth. These aren't just concepts, beloveds. They're nervous system states. So when you're bracing or rushing or over explaining or people pleasing, when you're fixing and rescuing and caretaking, that is survival. When you're breathing, resting, speaking truth without apology, oh, that's divine law moving through you. Feel that. So many of us have lived by survival's law because we thought it was divine. We thought we were being good. We believed that we were being loyal. We hoped it would guarantee love and approval and that we wouldn't be abandoned and we would finally be appreciated and respected and loved. We thought control was care. We thought perfection was purpose. We thought exhaustion was evidence of love. But survival's law cannot heal you. I've tried it many different ways and many different flavors. But to live in fear means that we can only maintain the illusion of safety. Divine law doesn't need you to prove anything, it simply invites you to align. See, survival says, if I do enough, I'll be enough. And divine law says, because I am, everything I do carries the imprint of enough. That's the revelation we're stepping into tonight. So let's just pause and breathe. Take one breath in through your nose. And as you exhale, whisper quietly, I am aligning with divine law. Breathe in. I am divine. I am aligning with divine law. One more time. Breathe in. Exhale. Now that you felt the difference between survival and divine law, let's move into the heart of it. The first law of oneness. Before we get into that, I want to say to drive the point home, trauma made us mistake survival's law of fear and control and overgiving for divine order. But fear is a substitute teacher. Love is the original lawgiver. And so tonight you are remembering the difference. So let's recognize the law. A law is something that is always true. Again, whether or not you believe in it. And divine law is the order written into all creation, constant, coherent, unchanging, and alive in you. And let's make it real. The way your body softens when you tell the truth, the way honesty brings relief, the way boundaries create peace when people disapprove, the relief you feel when you return to truth. That is divine law restoring order. And in every wisdom tradition, it speaks of the same law. In Kemet, Ma'at called it balance. In Taoism, it was harmony. In the gospel, it was the word made flesh. In physics, it's resonance. All are different tongues for the same truth that love governs all. That's what it is. So you might recognize the law in gravity or circadian rhythms. So, just as gravity keeps your feet on the ground, there's a spiritual gravity that keeps your soul aligned with love. That is divine law. Energy, the law of attraction. Put law in the chat if you have believed, if you have practiced, if you know about the law of attraction. An example of that is resonance and vibration. You already know energy attracts its match. We know that because it's gone mainstream. And that is one of the divine laws. There are 12, actually. And divine law is the love that designed that resonance. Oh, it's getting real. And so I invite you to make a declaration and to remember that divine law isn't outside of you, it's written in your design. And the more that you respect yourself, the more that you align with the order of love. You are not learning anything new. You are not learning a law. In truth, you're remembering it. This is revelation. I'm just simply reminding you of what you already are because you am and is. Ain't that what we say? So here's how we experience divine law. I knew I needed to put this in because I know who I'm dealing with. I know you very well because I am you. And I know how we superwomen do. We like, okay, divine law is cool, but I got stuff to do. I got bills, I got responsibilities. Have you had that thought about what you need to do, what you should be doing, how you need to do it? And you're not wrong because this is what we've been taught. And at first glance, it could sound like if I stop doing everything will fix itself. But that isn't the meaning when we talk about divine law or resting in divine law. When I speak of rest, it's not passivity. It is peaceful participation. It's it's the state that the nervous system enters when it stops fighting reality and starts flowing with truth. So when we resist, we suffer. And I know, here's what it is. It's when I argue with what is, when I cling or control or reject what love is revealing, I create my own suffering and you know it. Because for every intuition that you've had that you ignored, for every red flag that you invalidated, for every time you felt and you knew what you felt and you ignored what you felt, you created your own suffering. And not because you wanted the suffering, but because love was already guiding you and you did know what you knew and you did hear what you heard and you knew that relationship wasn't right. But the survival in us said, oh no, we couldn't be alone. Oh, let's try to see how it goes. Oh, maybe they didn't mean it like that. Oh, maybe I need to work harder. And when we align, it means we rest. And that simply means we come into agreement with the truth. When I allow God's order to move through me instead of against me, I experience peace, clarity, and ease in action. That's what it means. Divine law is the organizing principle. So that means when you align, because I know, because I did, and back in the day, in my day, a part of my healing journey, I did plenty of law of attraction, bought the tapes, bought the books, did the visualization, said 5,285 affirmations. I mean, I still say them now. And and I was operating in fear, secretly feeling unworthy. That's not alignment. But when you align, you no longer resist the flow of that intelligence. So when I say rest and trust and believe, I still, I still struggle a little bit with the rest because I still have superwoman parts that's like, you got to do, you got to do. And so I breathe because rest in the way that we are talking about it in this sanctuary is not the absence of movement. It is movement in rhythm with God. It's when your will and divine will stop pulling in opposite directions. Your doing becomes effortless because it's guided and not forced. And even if you think you can't hear God, you ain't heard in a while, I challenge that because I know you and I know what you know and I know what you feel. And I know that you're guided even when you don't even feel like you're guided, when you don't believe that you're guided. But somehow it always comes together. Somehow the needs are met. Somehow you find yourself thankful for what you didn't even know that the blessing that you didn't even know was already there or already on the way, or just being grateful even when it don't feel good, when things don't seem right, because there is a truth within you. Because what? I am and you are. Your boundaries, your decisions, your next steps. See, when you're in true alignment, they all rise naturally instead of anxiously. Put rest in the chat if you can. If you can feel that in your body and recognize the truth. So here's what I want to say to all my super women in the back. I love you. And I also want to say, as we're talking about healing, rest does not mean doing nothing. It means you're no longer doing everything alone. Let's sit with this. Rest does not mean doing nothing. It means no longer doing everything alone. It's when you stop wrestling with God's timing and people's choices or your own worth. It's the inner exhale that happens when you trust that love's order is already holding you. That is alignment. It is nervous system peace and spiritual obedience. The same thing expressed in two languages. Do you hear me? True alignment is not getting your checklist right. It's not finding the perfect pictures for your vision board. It's nervous system peace and spiritual obedience. The same thing expressed in two languages. Let me see what time it is because I got a lot to say. Because that's what happens when you're in alignment. And it can only happen because I'm in alignment. Hmm. Okay, let's do it. The first law. The first law of divine law. No, it's not the law of attraction. That's just the most popular one. The first law is oneness. Oneness means there is no separation between you and love, between you and God, between you and life itself. Everything in creation moves as one body. Every wave belongs to the ocean. Every breath belongs to the wind. And you, beloved, belong to love. I'm going to let that land. You belong to love. Separation is what created fear. The moment we forgot we were one with love, we began to worship control. Control was never power, it was protection from the pain of forgetting. Because survival, that became the nervous system's attempt to build its own law, a way to manage the fear of being cut off from source. But, beloveds, you were never actually separate. The illusion of separation was a trauma response, not a spiritual truth. Yes, breathe that in. When you remember oneness, you remember peace. Fear collapses not because you fought it, but because it was unemployed. It no longer had a job. We're not pretending or make believe safety through fear. We just no longer need it. And that doesn't mean we don't fear fear. It doesn't mean we don't feel fear. It means we're no longer led by it. Can you feel the difference? So let me talk about how we experience divine law. Because some of you might wonder, if divine law is constant, where does my free will fit in? Free will. Put free in the chat if you know you have free will. It can be hijacked by trauma and survival. But free will is how we experience divine law personally. The law never changes, but in our alignment with it does. So divine law never changes, but our alignment with it can change. When we resist love, and we do, if we're operating out of trauma and survival, we have walls on walls on walls. We are attracted to the things that hurt us. We have this compulsion to repeat trauma experiences by being attracted to people that mirror our trauma, as we talked about yesterday in day 2. But when we align with love, we feel peace. Divine law doesn't take your power away. It returns your power by bringing it into order. You already know, just breathe. I invite you to place your hand over your heart. Feel that rhythm. Steady, faithful, the same pulse that beats in every living thing. That is oneness made tangible. Take a slow inhale and whisper to yourself, I remember. And as you exhale, whisper, I belong. Inhale, I remember. And exhale, I belong. One more, and remember to elongate your exhale. Breathe in, I remember. And exhale, I belong. Oneness is the law that dissolves every illusion of unworthiness. It is what makes forgiveness possible. It is what makes self respect holy. It is what allows you to rest without guilt. When you live from oneness, you stop trying to earn love and you start embodying it. This is the first revelation of divine law. You were never outside of the circle of love. You were never separate from God. You were never unworthy of belonging. And when the body begins to believe that, peace returns. And now that we've remembered oneness, let's talk about what it looks like when truth begins to express itself in your daily life through self respect. Because when oneness becomes personal, it shows up as how you treat yourself. So let's talk about it. Let's give an introduction. Self-respect is divine law. This is what it looks like when the truth begins to express itself in your daily life through self-respect. Because when oneness becomes personal, it shows up as how you treat yourself. If oneness is the truth of creation, then self respect is how oneness expresses itself through you. When you respect yourself, you honor the divine order that lives inside you. Oh, self respect. Oh, that's not ego, that's alignment. It's how love learns to walk around in your skin as a Black woman. Because for so long, survival taught you to confuse self sacrifice with love, to prove your worth through what you gave away. But divine law says you honor God by honoring yourself. Put honor in the chat. If you can remember the power of honoring yourself, the way you speak to yourself, the boundaries you hold, the rest you allow. These are not small choices. They're not small choices, not for you. These are acts of spiritual order. See, divine law has sacred geometry, and that's simply a pattern that keeps balance. Boundaries are the lines that keep the patterns of balance intact. Put line in the chat if you can understand the significance that boundaries are the lines that keep the geometry, the pattern of balance intact. That's how we keep our lives balanced and our relationship balanced is through boundaries. Some people might try to spiritualize self sacrifice and self betrayal, but here we tell the truth. Because rest is the space within the shape that allows breath and creation. Because we know we can't really create the life we really want if we're exhausted, if we are stuck in fear and shame. I know because I've done it, I've tried to do it. Honesty is the light that shines through it so you can see what's real. And we know because we've played the game of being emotionally dishonest, of being in denial, of projecting. And we get sick and tired of being sick and tired as we run them receipts, run it back, and it gets real, real. And when that happens, oh, the light, the truth, ain't no more playing games. Ain't no, don't play no radio. Don't play in my face. Because once we allow the light, oh, you can't unknow what you know, even though you forgot what you knew. When you live without self respect, you collapse your own geometry. And that means that you distort divine law inside yourself. When you live with self respect, you become a living cathedral of coherence. And I know I introduced a word that we haven't even talked about, but coherence is simply being aligned in body, mind, and spirit. And when we live without self respect, we are out of alignment because we still have needs and wants. We still am that I am. We still know we want and deserve more, and yet we are operating out of survival, which means we're operating out of old patterns that were born of fear. So as we pause here, say this with me. My boundaries are holy. Say it to yourself out loud. Own it. Embody it. My boundaries are holy. My rest is sacred. My truth is love in motion. One more again. My boundaries are holy. My rest is sacred. My truth is love in motion. So every time you say no to chaos, you say yes to divine law. Every time you choose peace over people pleasing, you choose God over fear. This is self respect in action. This is divine law made visible. Let's breathe that in. And as you breathe, let's breathe for about 30 seconds. Breathe in, inhale peace, and exhale proof seeking. Inhale peace, exhale proof seeking. Ready? Breathe. One more. Notice what peace feels like in your body. So, with that, let us close. Allowing yourself to be grounded. I want to thank you for being here because you could be anywhere, but you chose to be here in this community, in this sanctuary, to be a reflection of love, to remember that you are love. And I want to acknowledge that the world has trained us to think that spirituality is optional, something you add after you're safe, after the bills are paid, after the chaos settles. But that is a distortion because God's love, healing, and rest. See, we've been taught that those are luxuries. But for women like me, like many of you, whose nervous system has been shaped by oppression and scarcity and vigilance, that belief just keeps survival running the show. And this is why I chose to teach this at this time, right now, in this life, with this administration. Because survival says, I'll heal when I'm safe. But truth says, healing is how safety is restored. Because I remind you today, and I will remind you again, that spirituality is not an escape from reality. It is the power to remember reality beyond fear. It is the only practice that can make a mind still enough to hear direction when everything outside is loud. Divine law isn't about ignoring the economy or politics. It is about remembering your worth, your provision, your peace, that you were never dependent on them. When you align with love's order, you start making choices from your alignment instead of panic. That is what keeps you clear and creative and discerning inside the chaos. You are not powerless. You never have been, and you never will be. Divine alignment returns choice to your body, the kind that can rebuild, the kind that can vote and speak and mother the wisdom instead of fatigue. Community restores capacity. And with that, let's begin the invocation. If you feel comfortable, place your hand on your heart. Beloved presence, we close this sacred space. We give thanks for every truth that rose tonight, the quiet ones, the trembling ones, the ones that felt too heavy to name, but too holy to ignore. We give thanks for the bodies that showed up even when weary, for the hearts that stayed open even when afraid, for the memories that surface only to be met with mercy. Tonight, we remember we are not here to earn safety. We are here to embody it. We are not here to fix what is broken. We are here to remember what has always been whole. When there was striving, may there now be stillness. Where there was fear, may there now be faith. Where there was confusion, may divine order restore clarity. We release all effort back to love, knowing that divine law is still moving, even when our minds grow tired of understanding. So let this remembrance live in our breath tonight. I am not separate from love. You are not separate from love. I am love remembering itself, and you, beloved, are love remembering itself. May this truth ripple through your rest, through your dreams, throughout tomorrow. May every woman here feel the same rhythm that keeps the stars from falling and the sun from forgetting to rise. We close this field not to end it, but to let its peace move through our lives in quiet revolution. And so it is. Amen. Ashe. Amen. And so it continues. Breathe. Thank you. Questions, thoughts, ideas? Oh, let me create a little space so we can let our nervous system relax. Breathe. Remember your power. Questions, feedback, remembrance. Just taking it in. You can certainly raise a hand. Oh, let me unmute. I welcome you to raise your hand. Nicola says your tone is affirming and soothing. Thank you. Thank you. Dom says, thank you. You are so very welcome. Thank you for being here, all of you, because this is a sanctuary. This is the quiet revolution. And we have so much more power than we often realize. Yeah. Nobody has nothing to say. Okay, I can go to bed early. Earlier, you said divine law is written in my design the more I align. So, divine law is your divine design. So, your alignment, I'm not sure exactly what your question is. If you want me to find that particular statement, I can look for that. But did you have a specific question about alignment or about? You're welcome to unmute. Was this new for you? Did it resonate with you? Did you learn something new? I'm curious because this is the first time that I have taught this in this way. You should be able to unmute yourself. Y'all all quiet. Nobody has nothing. I must have killed it today. You're welcome, Candace. I heard someone unmute. No questions? Okay. I do respect boundaries. And so if you're processing, I will email the replay. I'm here, and this is only day 3. So we still have 2 more days together.
Hi, Sarita. It's Candace.
Hi, Candace. Oh,
Yay, good
Candace!
evening. Thank you. Yes, I was trying to unmute a minute ago and it wouldn't allow me. So grateful to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. I really, really, really love the part where you said it's the same thing expressed in 2 languages.
Mm-hmm.
That just made so much sense. I was like, oh my goodness, we're trying to accomplish the same thing either way, but we're doing it in 2 very different languages, 2 ways of doing it. And so I just wanted to say that I really appreciated that point. I think it was just a good soundboard for the whole discussion. So thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you. Thank you. I see the comment from iPhone. It was phenomenal, my dear. We are processing. And I know it is normal, of course, to process. And I try to be intentional about not giving you too much, but also listen, the truth, that's where I live. I don't want to be anywhere else. So I want to serve it, but I want to serve it with love. And I'm learning, of course, to serve it gently. And so my goal is not to overwhelm you, but to inspire you, um, and for you to remember like the truth of who you are. That's it. Like I'm just here as a guide, just saying, remember. I see the comment, your approach is soft. Thank you. That means I have grown. I've always had some softness, but I used to have a lot more edge. And so, thank you. Of course, I care because you are a reflection of me, and we heal in community. And so doing this is, first of all, I understand the assignment and I love it because we learn together. You're always reflecting back to me like I'm reflecting to you. So, any other questions or thoughts? Okay, y'all. Y'all really must be processing. I welcome any, if there was anything that was confusing or anything that you just want to understand more about, please let me know. You're welcome to reply to any email and email me, and I'll bring it up for tomorrow. Okay. So, tomorrow, day 4, let me look at that before I let you go because, y'all don't have no questions today. And that's okay. It's all right. So, tomorrow, day 4 is reclamation. And we're going to talk about how choosing yourself is the most sacred revolution. And so, if you ever feel guilty for putting yourself first, you'll begin to release the belief that self honoring is selfish. We'll talk about boundaries and how boundaries are spirit led and they're actually invitations, protecting your heart while deepening true connection. And we'll practice your holy yes and sacred no in a way that your body can believe so that your boundaries carry authority and not defensiveness. And you'll walk away knowing that choosing yourself is not rebellion, it's reverence. Your boundaries are a love language that honors both you and the God within you. Oh, so yes, it's going down. Okay, no other questions. I love y'all. Thank you. I'll upload the replay and I will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Mwah. Remember to breathe. Remember to be gentle and ultimately self honoring because that is how you honor the divine. Love y'all.